You're listening to CreepGeeks Podcast. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/CheapGeek. So it begins again. Welcome back to the CreepGeeks Podcast. This is episode number 132.
Helen's Bridge, Area 51 do's and don'ts, and it's Independence Day.
Yeah.
Load that.
Yeah. What?
So it begins again. Welcome back to the CreepGeeks Podcast. If this is your first time tuning in, very much appreciate to have you here. And if it's also your birthday, because it's America's birthday, happy birthday. Yeah. So anyway, we have a little podcast for you. I'm Greg.
I'm Omi.
And this podcast is about what?
Well, CreepGeeks Podcast is an offbeat news podcast that takes a lighthearted approach to the paranormal, cryptid, strange, the silly, and trending tech topics circulating the web, broadcasting paranormal news and fun stories from our underground bunker in the mountains of western North Carolina.
Yeah. Very nice. So this podcast, we have a lot to talk about, but we're going to do a little bit of a shorter podcast because it's America's birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yep. About 243 years old as it goes. So anyway, if you're listening to the podcast and this is your first time tuning in, like I said, very much appreciated, but, you're in for a real treat. Heck yeah. So we're on all sorts of listening platforms for you to listen to us. If this is something that you might be thinking about, like maybe you want to switch and go from, say, iTunes to Pandora to whatever. If that is something that you're thinking about, rest assured you'll be able to find us there.
Yes.
Because we're everywhere. Pandora, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Play Music, Apple Podcast. Basically anywhere you can pick up a podcast, you can pick us up, and we're glad that you did.
Yes.
Yes. So if you'd like to support the podcast, there's a couple things you can do, because this is the part of the podcast where we have to tell you about all the ways that you could support us, because evidently that's what you have to do these days. So
it's called housekeeping. Basically,
yeah. It's a little bit of admin that we have to do. The easy way to support us is to do a couple different things. If you have something you want to share, like maybe you want to share a story or an instance or something that maybe has happened to you in the past or whatever, you can certainly do that, and you can support the podcast by giving us stuff to talk about, right?
Yeah.
So you can call this number
575-208-4025.
And you can leave a message.
Yes.
And if you'd like to remain anonymous, we certainly will respect that. That's kind of what we do. But other than that, we'll talk about what you want to talk about, if that's something that you want.
And
or some people just like to share stuff and they don't really want it to get out there. So it's choice is yours.
You can also email the show if you don't like calling, and that email is going to be contact@creepgeeks.com.
Yes. And if you go to CreepGeeks.com, our website, there actually is a contact link that you can click on and fill out kind of a little form, if you will, goes right to us and kind of do the same thing.
Yeah.
And we also have our Facebook group, which is a pretty active group. You should check that out if you have the opportunity. People share funny stuff, stories, all sorts of crazy stuff on the old CreepGeeks Facebook page, and we also have a CreepGeeks Facebook group. So we got you covered that way. We also post our podcast on YouTube. So if you do a search for CreepGeeks, you'll find it. And we do share a lot of our videos to our other podcast page, or our other, I shouldn't say podcast page, our other presence called Cheap Geek.
Yes.
Where, and to be honest, it has a little bit of a larger following, and, it helps. So you can share it there as well. And there's a Facebook group for that too. That's a pretty active group. Some of us, like to contribute all sorts of funny, happy things there. It's very, very nice. But the easiest way to really support the podcast with really minimal to no effort on your part is that the next time you go shopping on Amazon, if you use our little link that we have, our little affiliate link, we'll get a little percentage. Doesn't change your price, doesn't cost anything different, and it just makes it a little bit easier to use. It's really little to no effort. And we have a link for that, and that's amazon.com/shop/CheapGeek. And if you buy something like a toaster or whatever, we'll get a small percentage. And that's about the easiest passive way to support our podcast.
And if you didn't get that link, it is in the show notes. Everything we talk about is in the show notes for each podcast episode.
Yes. Yeah. Well, there we go. We got all that done. It was a lot.
Oh, one more.
What?
If you do enjoy the show or you really want to give us your feedback, one of the last ways you can basically reach out is by giving us a review. Yes. You can review us on whatever platform that you listen to us on, iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Google Play. Reviews actually help podcasts grow. When you review a podcast, whether it's 3 stars, 5 stars, whatever, it improves that podcast's reach.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Very nice.
That's it.
And that's the kind of thing that has helped us grow. Our podcast is growing, and for all those who listen, we do really much appreciate it. So kind of a thing.
Yep.
All right. So anyway, this podcast is going to be a little bit about Helen's Bridge, Area 51 do's and don'ts, and it's Independence Day. And we normally do a Weird Wednesday podcast, but this is going to be our Weird Thursday podcast because it's Independence Day, and we figured we would do a podcast and put it out there for you so that you can listen to it probably on Friday. Because it kind of depends. It kind of depends on how you have your RSS feed set up to supply you with podcast and your RSS feed reader, like iTunes or somewhere like that, as to when you actually get the podcast. So it is what it is. Mm. Yeah. But we do like to start our podcast off with a little weird, interesting, random factoid. And since it is the 4th of July, our Independence Day, if you will, the day we've decided to celebrate our independence, we have some factoids for you.
Okay.
And you can do the first one.
All right. Well, approximately 150 million hot dogs are said to be eaten every year on the 4th of July.
That's a lot of hot dogs.
That is a lot of hot dogs. But then you think about it, like the average person eats like 2. So, 2.
2, that's it?
Yes. So that cuts it down to, what?
I don't think those people are trying hard enough. If you're going to eat a hot dog, go for 3.
But I did think about it. Isn't the hot dog eating contest done on the 4th of July?
Yes.
Yeah, so.
I can't watch that. I mean, they're not even eating. They're really just biting it and swallowing it, and it's just gross.
Yeah, it is.
And they're dipping in water.
Ugh.
No. No. See, if I ever join a hot dog eating contest, joke's going to be on them because I'm there to eat. I'm going to eat about 4 or 5 hot dogs and give up. It's like, that's cool. Didn't cost me anything at all, right?
Yeah, well, that's like the pie eating contest and food eating contests.
I have been in a pie eating contest where I just ate the pie and they realized that I was just eating and not really trying to compete, and they pretty much made me quit. Joke's on them. Got about half a pie down. I'm like, that was great. So that was fun.
Yeah, that's the point of it, though. I'm like, why bother? It's just a free opportunity to eat.
Heck yeah. Well, sometimes you got to pay to get in the contest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think that's to weed out the suckers that are just there to eat pie. Yeah. But, when you have these small events, a lot of times they don't know if you're supposed to be up there or not. I just went up there and sat down, ate about half a pie, and it's like, who's this guy? And they kicked me out of there. It was fantastic. So according to the American Pyrotechnics Association, Americans spend about $1 billion on fireworks every year. Mm. And that includes both professional and at-home displays. And here's where I jump on my soapbox real quick. A lot of people, they don't necessarily, I think, understand what all the fireworks symbolize. Mm-hmm. And we want our freedom through basically missiles and bombs and bullets.
Yeah.
And, people don't realize that. So I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Bared some arms on that. Showed them what's up. Well, I mean, some people are like, well, Anyway, that's enough of my soapbox. Did you know?
Yeah.
That there are about 9,100, this number is probably going to go up, 9,108 fireworks-related injuries in the United States. Basically, because it's going to happen, we're going to go to probably a cookout. Who knows what's going to happen there?
Yeah.
But every year, people start off with 10 fingers. Right? And some people are going to wind up with less. But so there's about 9,100 fireworks-related injuries in the U.S. that's been treated in emergency rooms in 2018. Right? And
yep.
5,600 of those occurred in the 1-month period around July 4th.
So that's from June 22nd to July 22nd.
Yeah.
So within 30 days, over half of those 9,000 injuries were in the 4th of July season.
Yeah, that's about right.
So that means that's 190 injuries per day around the 4th of July.
Yeah, an interesting thing is that these are numbers that are reported at emergency room visits.
Yeah.
That's not counting all the idiots that don't go to the emergency room.
Yeah, just stick your thumb in a beer bottle.
Yeah. And I know that's not counting how many kids have burned themselves on those little, spicy incense sticks, the sparklers.
Angry incense.
Angry incense sticks, because they're like little welding rods, right? And it never fails. You fire them all off and stuff, and kids always run around barefoot, and they always step on them. It's like you do that like once in your life, and after that, you're done.
I stepped on a hot snake, the little black snakes.
They're just as bad.
It was awful.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And they're like, oh, make sure to set up a little bucket of water to douse your sparklers. And people don't do that. They just leave them burning. Like, oh, it's out. It must be done. That thing stays hot for a long time.
In Virginia Beach, we used to, we would only drink half of our soda and then, kind of mount whatever they were in the pull tab.
Yeah.
Yeah, that never worked. One time, somebody lit off a bottle rocket. It just took the whole soda up with it, and just the soda sprayed all over people and dumped on people, and then the bottle rocket still went off.
See?
Yeah, because
most people
we're
aren't
all
trained
smart
to handle ordnance, right? These things a lot of these things blow up, and what makes them blow up? Gunpowder, black powder, all sorts of crazy stuff makes these things blow up. But, it's a time for celebration, though.
I know, but
you're not having fun until somebody gets injured, right?
Yeah, but I am a little worried, because dogs and people with PTSD.
Dogs and veterans.
Yeah.
That's kind of the way I look at it. It's like, and it is, and some places don't necessarily just do the fireworks. They get out there and they fire off weapons, rifles and shotguns, and sometimes you can tell different calibers of weapons, like a little 22, psh, psh,
yeah,
and 9mm, psh, 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 it's like, and they're out there just firing off. It's like Fallujah, man.
Yeah,
you gotta be careful. Stop shooting guns in the air like a moron, and that goes for the freaking New Year's too.
Yeah. Be considerate of your neighborhood dogs and veterans, okay? Because some of them don't like fireworks.
Yeah, and just because you shoot it up in the air away from your house doesn't mean it's not going to come down on somebody else's house.
Didn't that happen last year in our neighborhood?
It happens a lot, yeah. It's like we did a thing one time about first of the year, New Year's, where an average of 13 people die from just a random stray bullet coming down through the roof, So, I don't know, it's kind of crazy. So.
Be smart about your gunpowder and stuff. Yeah.
And speaking of being smart, we're going to move on to our next topic. Our next topic is Area 51 do's and don'ts. And since it's Independence Day, and it's, the day we won our freedom or earned our freedom that we celebrate, it's also the day we earned our freedom from the aliens, if you remember that back in 1996 from the movie.
Yes.
And one of the things in that movie that sort of aggravated me a little bit, and I watched that movie when I was in the Navy in the middle of nowhere floating around out there, is that all these thousands of RVs just kind of drove up to Area 51. Coming across the desert like some, big battle force, oh, hey, just let us in. And how did you know we were here? It's like, well, first off, Area 51 doesn't look like that. You can't just drive up to it. It was not this big flat spot where you can kind of roll out, and it wouldn't be protected by just one random dude at the gate either. And so that, and watching a bunch of videos where people go up to the Area 51 gate, and some are shocked when they're arrested or disappear, and others are out there trying to dramatize the whole thing. And they're like, I think they're following us, dude. I think they're following us. And so we decided to put together some Area 51 do's and don'ts.
And it's funny.
Okay, hold on. And this is coming from my military experience. And I will tell you a little secret, little spoiler alert, if you will. Most of these rules actually apply to any federal installation, not just Area 51.
That's what I was going to say. And it's not just federal installations. This actually pertains to, I'm looking at some of these same rules are up at certain wilderness and national monuments.
They are.
And stuff,
and most of those wilderness and national monuments are
federally protected.
Backed by the federal government. So what we thought we would do is, if you ever get a wild hair and you want to go up to the main gate at Area 51, and the main gate is not necessarily the main gate, but the gate that you can get to from any public road that's in that area. I can't say any public road, just one. I don't want to say where it is, so I'm not gonna. You can watch YouTube and figure it out. Right? So, Area 51 do's and don'ts. Mm-hmm. You ready?
Yes.
Okay, so you can and do take a picture of the Area 51 gate from the public side of the gate.
That's actually a bucket list item on mine.
Yeah, and you can do that. Now, if they have the little drawbridge thing, this the arm or whatever, don't step past that. If you step past that, you are trespassing on federal property. You are trespassing on a military installation. where the use of deadly force is authorized. 1 inch into that facility, and if they want to give you a hard time, they certainly can, and they may just do that because you are breaking the rules. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Do take a picture, but on the public side of the gate. Make absolutely sure that you are on the public side. Right?
Yeah.
Because so many people are doing this, I'm sure they're just waiting for you to break the rules. And people do, and that's what happens. And also with that, do realize they have the power to detain you. There is none of this, am I being detained? Yes, you are being detained. This is a federal government, right? This is a federal installation. It's a military, active working military installation, and they have the basically task of protecting national security secrets for the security and, basically of the United States of America. They will detain you. So you and your YouTube knowledge of, am I being detained? That's just not going to work. They're going to be, and they're going to get you.
Your little pocket First Amendment rights booklet does not apply here.
And, it does, but it may take them a while to figure that out, see, because the federal government does not move fast. So you need to remember that.
Yeah.
And it's like, and do realize they can take your video and your photographs. You are photographing a military installation, and if it's national security, they will come and get it.
So they have not just take your video and photographs. I read that wrong. I thought you meant like start a file on you, which they also have.
No, yeah, they can totally do that. You're out in the public. Anybody can take and record you when you're out in public.
So they can take your footage basically.
Oh yeah, they can confiscate your footage because they don't know what you're doing,
and they can start a file on you.
Yeah, and they will start a file on you. I mean, that's basically how that goes because they have to document each instance of all this sort of thing, and so they can come and they can take your video and photographs. And so if you're outside the gate and you're filming and doing all that stuff, acting a little strange, and you drive away, they may decide to come confiscate your footage. This happens on all the bases. If you go to Norfolk Naval Station, and you take a tour, because they do open it up to the public for tours and things like that, and you start snapping some pictures of a submarine, they're probably going to tell you have to delete it. And if you don't delete it, they'll take your memory card. And guess what you can do about it? Nothing. That's how it is. So you do need to realize they can stop, question, and detain you.
Again.
Yes. And that 24-hour rule doesn't necessarily apply. They get to it when they get to it.
What do you mean?
Like if you get like if you're held in a police station where it's like, they have to release you or charge you within 24 hours.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily the case with the federal government. If they think it's an act of terrorism or espionage, they can kind of hold on to you for a lot longer. So remember that.
Yeah.
So and that brings to the next one. Don't forget, they can hold you until they see fit to release you. And that goes to the next one. Don't forget and remember, the federal government can be slow. If you've had a slow experience at the Department of Motor Vehicles or whatever you guys want to call it.
Times that by 5.
Times that by 100 or 1,000. Especially if you do it on a weekend where ain't nobody there. You'll be held up until somebody shows up, right?
Oh, wow.
So, don't cross the gate. Not even a foot. Not even an inch, man. If you cross the gate, you're breaking the rules. They can come get you.
And, there's anecdotal stories of people literally, like, right at that crossbar thing, literally putting their foot out like the hokey pokey and somebody's turning up. That's within their
there's also,
that's within their right.
Yeah. I mean, you are breaking the rules, and they take it very, very, very seriously, And you also have to think about it. Some of these military installations, whether it's like top secret UFOs or spycraft or whatever, a lot of them have ordnance. They're military bases. They have bombs. They have missiles. They have that sort of thing. And they don't know you, and they don't trust you. They don't know anyone. They don't trust anyone. That's why you have to have identification to get in there, And if you don't present that identification, you could work there for 100 years, and you forget your ID, you're not getting on the base. That's just how it goes. I mean, because what would happen if somebody got in there, some random person got on a military base and decided to set off a couple missiles or some bombs or something?
Well,
maybe they inadvertently shoot a missile into Nevada. You never know, right? So they want to make sure that every situation is actually covered.
And not even, like, if we take, like, aliens or bombs or stuff like that out of it. When we were at Spruce Pine, I met a woman who actually worked at Los Alamos. And she said there was a certain area that was dedicated to vaccinations and medical testing.
Yep.
You sticking your grubby, hippie foot in and out or trying to cross over, you're contaminating the area.
But the fact is that you're not invited, so you're not allowed.
Yeah.
Okay, so don't cross the gate. Don't taunt the guards or DOD contracted security. They get paid just enough to do their jobs, and they don't care if you're detained forever. They just don't. So don't taunt them. Don't make fun of them. These are not like regular police. You can just run up there and start flapping your lips, because their job is threat assessment. If you go running up on them, they can perceive it as a threat. If you go run up on them and cross over into the base and they don't know what you're doing, they can shoot you.
Yeah.
Period. And it may not be a just thing. And you may go, well, I can't believe it did. Well, guess what? These are the rules. This is how it is, right? So don't forget, also, you are absolutely being watched.
Yeah.
Don't forget, there are sensors there everywhere, all over that place. Right? It's a military facility.
Yeah.
The whole goal is to not have national security secrets leaked, like, flying B-52, stealth technology, whatever, man.
Remember when we found the sensor at Quebrada Scenic Highway,
yep.
which is a federally protected wilderness area?
Yep.
Yeah, it's like they were just trying to keep track of how many people were coming in and out.
I mean, yeah.
So
don't wear out your welcome at Area 51, because you're not. You're not welcome there. They don't want you there. I mean, it's part of it is what it is. And don't think because you're a taxpayer that your rights outweigh national security. They may in the end, but it may take 6 months to a year to figure that out. I mean, if you trespass and they detain you, I think the sign used to say 6 months. I think it would say they can detain you up to a year.
Wow.
They're putting you in federal jail for a year in a detention center because you want to do the hokey pokey. Or thinking, I'm a taxpayer. You work for me. The military installation does not work for the American people. I'm sorry. It works for the benefit and the betterment of the government, of the entirety, the United States of America. May not be just, you may not like it, but that's just what the rules that they're applying to. Because, I mean, think about the oath you swear to defend and uphold, right, the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. It's an oath you swear. Now, whether or not a soldier would do that, I don't know. But, I mean, I swore the same oath. But you're there to defend and uphold the Constitution of the United States of America.
Yeah.
Not taxpayers.
Huh.
Yeah. So, don't think that because you're a taxpayer, your rights that way national security. I mean, I would think that we all have certain unalienable rights. But you know what? I mean, how much inconvenience is that going to cause if you've been detained for a year fighting for your rights? Right? And you win. Yay. Okay. It's a year of your life gone. You got a federal record. So just for a cheesy picture or a video, I don't know. And don't think all these security measures are for only Area 51. All secure military bases have the same basic rules. All military bases have the same basic rules.
Yeah.
So now there are some bases that have a higher level of security put in place than others. Typically, if you've got a pretty high level of security, then there's secret stuff there, / bombs and everything else. And their jobs, at the gate and being security and all that stuff is to make sure that you don't get in. Unauthorized personnel are not allowed. That's you. Yeah. And here's the last one. Do remember that any punishable crime on a military installation is considered a federal offense. If you get a parking ticket on a base, a federal installation, you can go to federal court where it'll say the United States of America versus you. I know this. I got a parking ticket on the base and I got a summons that said the United States of America versus me.
It's kind of cool, though.
No, it's not cool. It's holy crap. And you're just one dude. And you got the entire United States of America against you.
Over a parking ticket.
It was over a parking ticket. It was over a parking ticket that I never got, basically.
Huh.
Yeah. And so when I got it in the mail, I had to go down there, and the judge was like, why are you here? I'm like, I have no idea. And it pretty much came down to them like, okay, we found out it was a parking infraction. It could have been taken care of on the base by the magistrate of the base.
Yeah.
But I didn't get the ticket. So there you go.
Huh. That's crazy.
But still, United States of America versus me. Holy moly, man. So not good. Not good at all. So anyway, those are some Area 51 do's and don'ts, and you can apply those to most military installations, and we're doing that on Independence Day because of the movie Independence Day and the fact that 150 to 200 RVs just drove up to the base and said, let us in. It's not how it works.
I don't remember where they filmed that at.
In the desert?
Well, like the fake Area 51.
In the desert?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter. It's just a big flat spot. I don't know. Probably, who knows? Bonneville Salt Flats or something like that.
Huh.
Just a big wide open flat spot to line up like 150 to 200 crappy looking RVs. So, and it's all take a minute to remember Randy Quaid. So, in his pivotal role saving the U.S. So, yeah, there you go. All right, so what we're going to do at this point is we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we will be right back. You're listening to the CreepGeeks Podcast. So there you go.
The goal of M&D Paranormal is to compassionately, knowledgeably, and professionally support and offer paranormal services to those who have been affected by a paranormal experience, including those who have been indirectly affected. Services provided include paranormal investigation, property research, and evidence review of residential, business, and private property locations. Cleansing of these properties are available upon request. No matter the circumstances of the paranormal experience, M&D Paranormal strive to offer a non-judgmental environment to promote education, open communication, and empathy to each individual that chooses to share their experience or come into our service. In achieving this goal, M&D Paranormal is building and bringing together a community of open and like-minded individuals by offering free monthly gatherings and events at the Shop Eclectic, 49 State Street, Marion, North Carolina. Call us anytime at 828-484-1637 or 828-559-2818 or email us at mndparanormal@gmail.com.
Yeah. And we're back.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm trying to find, we recently got a message because you can contact us, and it never occurred to me to say that you can contact us on Instagram. But you can. We do have an Instagram. Surprisingly enough, it's CreepGeeks. Right? It says CreepGeek. Was it CreepGeek Pod?
I believe so.
Yeah. That's either that or Twitter. I'll be honest. I can't remember. But anyway, we got a message, a direct message.
Oh, it's creep_geeks.
That's what it is. Creep_Greek. I can't say it.
Creep_geeks.
Yes. So we actually got a message, and I thought I would read it to you because I thought it was pretty interesting. Okay. You ready?
Yeah.
And this is from Ken on Instagram, and he asked if I remembered him, and after reading the message, I do remember him because we actually used to work with him.
Oh.
Yeah. And basically, I'm not going to say what we did, where we used to work and all that. I'm not going to do that. But Ken's been in Vegas because he left Virginia and he went to Las Vegas. Right? I believe it was in 2012. And he said, I started listening to the podcast for a few months ago, and now I can't get enough. Well, thank you very much, Ken. And by the way, with all of your Bigfoot content and all, I hope Yeti has sponsored you with mics. LOL. Yeti makes microphones. I was like, oh, yeah, that would be something. We'd take a Yeti mic. Sure, why not? Right? You know, like...
oh,
yeah.
I remember him.
Yeah. So it says, speaking of Bigfoot, in an episode you were talking about national parks with closures due to, and Omi jumped in and said portals, and I said no, Bigfoot, right? Mm-hmm. And the idea is that sometimes they close national parks because there's like a Bigfoot flare-up or something going on like that, and they have to kind of send people in to take care of it.
And I remember why I said portals, and it was because there used to be a podcast, it might still be going on, and the podcast's name was Tanis, and it alluded to this secret national wilderness thing. Basically, portals would open up in certain spots, and that's why the national parks would get closed. Yeah.
And it kind of goes back to we talked about stairs to nowhere, where these like very nice stairs were made and there's nothing there for some reason. So, and so his idea, because he had an idea, right? It says, do Bigfoot control or use portals? Wouldn't that sort of make sense? We can't find them anywhere because the military took care of any that were found. But other than that, you don't see them hanging out at the park. Maybe they just visit for a little bit and live in another dimension. So they would use that portal, right? Mm-hmm. To step in, do what they got to do, and step out. And, you know, that is kind of a theory with the whole supernatural or, para-nature sort of side of things that some people think maybe a possibility with Bigfoot because he's there one minute, gone the next, and sometimes they've reported seeing flashes of light, and there's been couple instances from a couple different sources, a couple people saying that, like one, I can't think of the name or the actual details of it, but basically the guy was out hunting and a flash of light, a portal opened up, Bigfoot stepped through the portal and just walked off.
Huh.
So, and that sort of thing has been sort of bandied about, that a possibility that Bigfoot is sort of a trans-dimensional sort of, or interdimensional sort of creature that can control these portals, or at least are aware of where they are or when they're going to occur,
Yeah.
And that kind of goes back to what we were talking about with the possibility of, like, maybe some of these cryptid sightings and stuff were exactly that. Like a pterodactyl's flying in the air, doing his own thing, kind of portal pops open. He, flies through it and he's flying in our world for a while. Another portal pops open and he flies through that when he's back in his own world. Probably doesn't even know because he's a dumb bird. Right. But, to talk about that and for Ken to put the idea out there, yes, that would be an explanation that would explain quite a lot of things there, Ken, with the whole portable thing.
And
I'm portable with the whole portal thing.
Aren't there a few people out there that have that theory? Like,
there's a lot of people
like
out there
trans-dimensional or something.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that are against that theory because they believe that Bigfoot is primarily a primate, and it's just a natural creature and doesn't have any supernatural abilities, which kind of goes against what the natives say because they all think that the old man of the woods has some sort of power-ups. So it becomes kind of one of those things. Anyway, in the message he says, okay, I'm rambling away, and he's hitting the Instagram max character limit, and he wants to chat with us sometime. We may take him up on that. And he says, by the way, are y'all poised for webcasting, or do you have any interest in that? Because he turned us on to some free software. And yes, we used to do live casting and webcasting and all that sort of thing. But where we are now, we don't have the signal for it. So to make that happen requires a huge effort on our part that we're thinking about bringing back. So that's a question for you if you're listening to the podcast. If you'd like to see a live stream of the podcast, leave us a comment or let us know. So anyway, and he's right with some of the stuff that we could do and we used to do with like chat panels and talk to people and stuff when we were actually doing live streams. And he said, just a thought, bicycle. And I remember Ken has amazing hair. So... And he had rocking Hawaiian shirts, too. So it was good to talk to you, Ken. But yeah, so you can talk to us on Instagram. And I do like the idea that maybe Bigfoot can transit through portals. And I like the idea that maybe portals exist because it would make a lot of explanation.
Make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. It makes a lot of explanations make a lot of sense. But I don't know. It's kind of like with Bigfoot. Until you actually capture one or get some kind of evidence of a portal, it's kind of hard to say, really.
But how would you capture a portal?
I don't know. Probably the same way you would capture a Brown Mountain Light. Hot dog on a stick. What? That's my thing for everything, man. If there's a portal that pops open and I, basically take my hot dog on a stick and stick it through the portal, if it comes back all burnt up and stuff, I probably don't want to go there, right?
Yeah.
Or if it comes back half chewed up, I'm definitely not going there. Oh. If it comes back just right, or the same way, it might be the way to go.
My concept of portals is heavily tainted by, I guess, Stargate or even like Avengers.
Well, there is a theory that Stargate is loosely based on a real story, a true story.
Really?
Yeah.
What? What in the world?
Yep.
Now I got to look that up.
Heck yeah, man! I like Stargate. That was a great sci-fi show. Went on for years and years. I mean, come on. They got MacGyver in there. And the Stargate movie actually had, it was pretty good too, actually. Yeah. I think the series was amazing.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. All right. So we are just about fixing to wrap up this podcast episode of the CreepGeeks 4th of July podcast. That's okay. Because we do 2 a week.
Yeah.
And just in a couple days, you're going to hear us again. In our next podcast, we're going to talk about a couple different things. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the experiences we had at a paid investigation at a haunted piano bar. Yeah. We're also going to talk about some of the Brown Mountain Light stuff. We're going to talk about Helen's Bridge and what we experienced there, and the fact that we're going to go back there again for our Weird Wednesday and do more video footage.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about this, seems to be an outbreak of alligators being seen in places that don't normally see alligators, which is kind of weird. And we also have a couple events that we're going to be doing, and we're going to talk about those a little bit. So our next event is the Smoky Mountain Bigfoot Conference.
Yeah.
And that's going to be in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. And then it's going to be a couple important people there, I suppose.
Yeah, it's surprising. This is, I guess, one of their first Bigfoot conferences in Gatlinburg.
Yeah.
And for a first, they got Cliff Barackman, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
Scott Carpenter and Bigfoot 911. They also got Matt Sieber, who I think I've read some stuff from him before, and Matt Pruitt. And both of those are Bigfoot researchers. And it looks really big. They got a lot of news coverage.
Yes.
We actually bought a vendor table.
Yeah, so we're going, so you can come see us and you can talk to us.
Yeah.
And enjoy our swag. And from what I understand, they were pretty much out of tickets and are going to be out of tickets. They were very close to being completely sold out. This is a one-day event.
Yeah.
Happens on a Saturday. And there's be lots of live speakers and lots of vendors there. So you can actually go and listen to some of the speakers. And you got like Matt Pruitt's going to be there, like you were saying, Scott Carpenter, Cliff Barackman, Matt Sieber. You know, and I'm sure some other people will be there. We'll be there, and there'll be vendors the entire time. And
I'm actually nervous.
I'm not. It's all inside.
Okay.
We're not going to get rained on. We don't even have to pop the thing up. We can just go in there and sit. So it'll be good. And see, that's the thing of it, you know. And here's a dirty little secret. If you want to go to these events and you don't want to pay the ticket price for your, like, 2 or 3 of you, or if it's like, you know, $50, $75 a ticket. Sometimes the vendor tables are cheaper than the actual admission. So you're like, yeah, I'm going to set up a table and just show up. Yeah, that's how you do that.
That's a cheap geek tip.
Yeah, and I've used that before. How much does it cost to get a press pass? And they're like, oh, press passes are free, man. You're going to take pictures? Yeah. I'm like, okay, here you go. Yeah. So I got a couple press passes by accident one time. Because as I was walking up with my camera and stuff, guys like, oh, over here. You're over here.
Oh.
And I filled it out and got to walk around. I didn't even have to pay.
Wow.
Yeah. Got all sorts of access to stuff. It's great. But yeah, it's going to be a fun time, I think, hopefully. But if you're going to be in that area of Tennessee, Gatlinburg, I want to check it out. But if you actually go to facebook.com/Smoky Mountain Bigfoot, you can check out the page and see if there's any tickets available. Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's going to be a fun time, hopefully. And plus, you know, we have a possibility, and the reason why we do these things is not only do we moonlight as paranormal investigators and cryptid investigators, but when we go attend these events, whether it's as a vendor or an attendee or sometimes speaking or doing panels and stuff like that, we try to use the opportunity to get interviews and talk to people. And so far, we've been completely unsuccessful.
You had one interview.
Well, I did, but I got interviewed, and I wanted to be the other way around. But what we're noticing is that a lot of people just step up to us and start talking, and they tell their stories. And it seems like we're never ready for it. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's just a practice thing. Because sometimes they kind of catch you off guard. You turn around and there's somebody going, let me tell you something. I got a story for you. And you're like, oh, can I record it? And they're like, no. And you're like, okay. Well, then you wind up standing there for a while, you know.
Yeah.
But, yeah, this time's going to be a little bit different. I think we might even see if we can have a sort of a confessional set up, and a confessional just being an area that you can tell us your story and we can record it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And we've had some really amazing stories that people have told us that say we can't say anything. And it's like, well, okay, that's great. And I do appreciate it. I just, you know, it's like, well, why did that story take 15 minutes then? Yeah, if I can't say something, because it's just kind of weird.
Yeah.
But we do have a lot of people come walking up to it. So if you are there, you should come up and say hello. Say you listen to the podcast. You may get some free swag.
Yeah.
Courtesy of the CreepGeeks. Yeah. But that'll be fun. So we're going to be doing that event. What other event are we going to be doing?
Cherokee Legends Comic-Con.
Ooh, yeah.
Yes.
In Cherokee. We're going to do the Comic-Con.
Which is a mix of a lot of different stuff there.
Yeah.
They got everything.
Throw it all together.
So,
you want aliens? We got them. You want Bigfoot? We got them. You want to dress up like your favorite anime character? We can do that too.
There's wrestling at this one too.
And there's wrestling. Oh, I want to see, you know,
and
I want to see,
Bigfoot.
you know what? I want to see cosplayers wrestle each other.
Well, this, for all we know, Bigfoot might be wrestling Papa Stro Maestro for all we know.
Bigfoot will take him.
And then, there's going to be people from The Walking Dead. Yeah, and Matt Delph is going to be there,
cool.
As well as Dr. Samey. And there's some other guests that I'm trying to get the page to load.
Yeah. And we're going to be there too. And you can also come by and say hello.
Yes.
It'll be very, very nice.
Oh, there's a Bigfoot University and Exploration on the last day.
Nice.
Yes.
So all sorts of cool things. And we actually have about 4 or 5 more total events that we're going to be doing over the year. But we just figured we'd kind of check in and kind of give you guys an idea of what's happening. So there you go. Smoky Mountain Bigfoot, Cherokee Comic-Con. Yeah, there's some more. Marion has a huge Bigfoot festival thing. So anyway, that's what we're going to be doing. So happy birthday, America.
Yeah.
And if you've been listening to the podcast and you've made it this far, happy birthday to you too. Because freedom is delicious. So, all right. Anyway, any questions, comments, concerns?
No.
Okay. Well, don't sound so disappointed. You can do the alligators next time.
Well, yeah. We're going to talk about alligators next time. And even though we said this episode would be about Helen's Bridge, the point is we're going back.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Because as I thought about doing the podcast, it's like, okay, we have a video up right now on YouTube that we'll have a link to where you can see our first experience with Helen's Bridge as brought to us by M&D Paranormal. So there's a link to that. And Helen's Bridge is in Asheville, North Carolina, and we'll disclose the location and talk way more about it.
And my theory.
And Omi's theory in aggravating detail. That'll be on our next podcast.
Yep.
So, yeah. Anyway, that's it.
Yep.
It's kind of a teaser.
If you want to check out anything we talked about during this podcast episode, be sure to check the show notes. Show notes contain links, including our Amazon affiliate link, as well as how to join us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, what have you. If you need to reach out to the show, like Ken did, you can do that on Instagram. You can do it through our phone number or our email, and that phone number is 575-208-4025, or email, again, that's contact@creepgeeks.com.
Very nice. Alrighty, guys. See you next time. So see you later. Take it easy. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Every kick, drum, head is a Yeah. 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 Yeah.